Next inductee, Tim Sullivan, during his senior year of football here at Cortland in 1964 under head coach Roger Robinson. The Red Dragons opened the season 8-0. They had one game remaining down in New Jersey against Montclair State team that was also undefeated. Well, it was a tough game. Montclair won that game 7-0. And I'm assuming at that particular point, Tim was probably not the biggest Montclair State fan in the world. However, considering that he went on to have a tremendous career at Montclair State, I think he's probably changed his mind a little bit about that. Although, if I'm correct, I think there's a football in the Hall of Fame room at Montclair that has that score on it from that game. So I hope he doesn't have to catch that too many times. Tim taught at Montclair from 1967 until he retired in 2008. For 15 of those years, he was the chair of the Department of Health Professions, Physical Education, Recreation, and Leisure Studies. He competed in 3 sports here at Cortland: lacrosse, wrestling, and football. And then he coached those 3 sports in some capacity at Montclair. He's the head coach of lacrosse from 84 to 87. He was the wrestling coach there from 67 to 72. He's also the assistant football coach from 67 to 73. I know he's still involved a lot with the alumni part of the football program there at Montclair. And he's devoted much of his career to supporting individuals with disabilities. And that includes directing Montclair State's Special Needs Aquatic Program for 32 years. He's a 2008 inductee into the New Jersey Special Olympics Hall of Fame. And he won, in 1995, the Evelyn Aronow Dolan Citizens Award for Advocacy and Promotion of Recreation for Individuals with Disability. That's one of the biggest awards that's in the business for that. I got to comment, I talked to my colleague at Montclair State, Mike Scala, the sports information director, has been there since the early 90s, and he told me, a comment from Mike on Tim was that, Tim's always been great to us as an athletic department. He's always been there for us, whether it was in his role as physical education chair or as a former coach. I know the students and former students in the PE program are fond of him. Well, as I said, Tim's connection to the Cortland-Montclair game will continue this year, actually, when Cortland plays at Montclair State in October in football. Tim will be part of the opening coin toss ceremony for that game, so we look forward to seeing him in October. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you for induction into the SUNY Cortland C Club Hall of Fame, Tim Sullivan, class of 1965.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I would just like to thank the administration here for the support of athletics at Cortland. I also would like to thank the Alumni Association, the C Club, for making this event possible. I also would like to thank my family for making the time to come to this event tonight, and also to thank a special friend of mine, Barbara Hemick, who put a bug in my ear and just kept this noise going about applying for membership in the Hall of Fame. And Barbara, thank you very much. Also, I think you may say, how did you play 3 sports? I just would like to relate to you how I got involved in wrestling. Some people here in the Hall of Fame said to me, do you remember that match? I say, what match? They said, when you wrestled Jim Nance. I said, wrestled Jim? Then it brought it back to mind. And I began to think, how did I get involved in that? Well, I remember I transferred here for the University of Arizona. And I just didn't have the credits. So I had to make up a wrestling class. And I said to the fellas, how do I do this? What do I do? Well, you gotta go talk to the coach. I said, who's the coach? And I said, Coach Miller. So I have to go talk to him, and I said, Coach, can we work this out? Tim, no problem. I said, how are we gonna work it out? He says, you just got to come to practice and work out with the heavyweight. I said, oh, no problem. So I go to practice, and a couple of the fraternity brothers take me under the wing, and they start giving me some instructions. And I said, oh, this isn't bad. I go, practice, practice, practice. And then all of a sudden, Coach Miller says, Tim, you still need that grade? I said, yeah. He says, there's a little extra requirement. what's that? He says, you got to participate in the wrestle-off. I said, wrestle-off? He goes, yeah. I said, what's that? You wrestle the heavyweight, and if he wins, he wrestles. If you win, you wrestle. I said, oh, no problem. So we wrestle off. Guess what? I won! So what does this mean? He says, 2 nights from now, we'll wrestle in Syracuse. I go, oh! So what does he gives me a uniform? I had never seen a singlet before. Here I am, I have to squeeze myself into this, get everything going, make sure everything fits. Oh, heck of a problem. Then the night comes, here I am. We all sit down. In those days, you wrestled by weight classes and so forth, working your way up to heavyweight. And I looked down the end, oh, he was this angry-looking guy. I said, oh, what am I doing? Well, Mr. Nance was very nice, and he let me run around for the first period and stay away from him. And the second period, he put me away very quickly. And then I went on to wrestle for the rest of the semester, the rest of that year, and that's how I got involved in wrestling, and that opened up a lot of doors for me as far as job opportunities are concerned. Another funny incident was here I am at Montclair, and I start getting involved in working with these special children. And I go to a meeting for Special Olympics. It's a county meeting, and here I am as a coach, and the person who's in charge says, Tim, what can we do? So I have my list. I read off a list of things, and they say, Tim, how about being county director? Oh, I'm county director. Then they say, what about regional director? I go to the regional meeting, read off my list, boom, I'm regional director. I do that for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden there's an opening for the state director. I go, I present my case, next thing I know, state director. Now, here I am, state director, we run the program, we do all these good things, and then I get involved in something else called the blind athletes. And what do we do but we volunteer to host a national tournament at Montclair State. 500 totally blind individuals are coming to Montclair State. They're going to be there for 1 week participating in all these events. And then one of the people in the organization committee gets this brainstorm that wouldn't it be nice to take some of the blind athletes into New York City? I say, oh my God. I talk to the liability people and all this stuff, and so we agreed to do this. We're going to take 50 blind athletes into New York City. And what do they want to do? They want to go on the ferry. They want to go to Wall Street. They want to go to 42nd Street. They want to do all these things. Well, morning comes, we get the buses, we put everybody on. We have a lot of chaperones. And I go over it time and again. What do you have to do? You have to count, you got to count, you got to count. You got to make sure you don't lose anybody. So the day goes on, we have a great time. Everybody's going. I keep saying, what's the number? What's the number? We keep coming up with 47, 47, 47. Okay. All right, time to go home. We go back to Montclair, which is only about a half an hour from New York City. And we have a count. Uh-oh. It's not 47. What is it? 45? 46? No. 48! We picked up the blind guy and he came back with us. One extra. I remember to this day, I got up on top of a car and I said, now, everybody, who was not here this morning? This fellow gets out, he has his glasses on, his cane. Me, mister? Well, he had a great time. We had a great thing. We worked it all out. So there are two little stories that I had to share with you in my career. Do we have time for one more, or am I done? I'll give you one more. Here I am as department chairperson, and we had this, we read off before, health, physical education, leisure studies. We had a staff of about 36 people. We had about 30 adjuncts and all this. And so I'm trying to keep up the morale of the leisure studies people. And the leisure studies people consisted of 6. And they're always complaining that they're getting the short end of the stick and all of this. So I go and I chat with them and I say, what can we do? So they say, well, if we had some privacy, it would help. So I went over and I looked at their offices, and they're in this hallway and all this, and it's a standard dormitory conversion and down this straight hallway. So I went to my greatest resource. At Montclair State, that's our students. And I said, who here is in the construction business? The person said, I am. I said, we got a job this weekend. He says, what do we do? I said, we're building a wall. And he says, building a wall? Yeah. So here we are. Oh, first thing I had to do was check when the dean was going to be out of town. And I found the week where the dean was out of town. And here we are, we show up Friday, we have the framing all set, we have the sheetrock all set, and boom, we put it together. It was 3 days. Sunday we're putting the door in and all this, but we spackle it, we paint it, and it's all done. Monday morning the boys show up, they're going to go into their offices, and they come walking down. Here's this door, and it gives them some privacy. Oh, I get letters from them. Oh, you're the greatest. Thank you so much for all this and all that. So now, who am I really waiting for the phone call from? The dean. Monday comes, no call. Tuesday, no call. Wednesday, the call came. He comes and he reams me out and all this. I have my letter of resignation. I had 6 years in his chair. I had enough, and I'm ready to give him the letter. He doesn't want the letter. He says, not a bad idea. That stayed there for the next 20 years, and nobody moved it. It worked very well. So with that, many thanks to you and to everyone else that made this all possible for me tonight. Thank you very much.